Well, I'm now joined by Mr. Fritz Pinnock, who is the Executive Director of Caribbean Maritime Institute in Jamaica. So, welcome, sir. Thank you very much for coming in and speaking to me today. I have looked at your website, and that suggests that the Caribbean Maritime Institute was born out of a cooperation between the government of Jamaica and the government of the Kingdom of Norway. How did that come about? Because they seem so distant.
Yes, well, interesting. Thank you. Jamaica and Norway enjoy a very special relationship, and Norway is one of the top maritime nations in the world. At the time, Jamaica had 5 merchant ships, but we did not have any qualified crew.
Okay.
So the government of Norway decided to start the Jamaica Maritime Training Institute. That was in 1980. And since then, things have blossomed and mushroomed. In fact, they have set up 10 projects of its kind around the world, and this is the only surviving one.
Wow.
Yes.
So you're doing something right.
I guess so.
Information again that you publish suggests that shipping and supply chain sector accounts for 35% of global trade. But as a layman, I'm not a seaman, I understand that increased automation and computerization has led to a reduction in ship's crew numbers, for instance, and the the cargo handling staff requirement. How does that affect what you do?
Well, in fact, it has created new opportunities for us.
Okay.
And I'll put it this way. Because modern ships, of course, have a lot of technology, so now there are new positions that are created, new high-level positions. And since the International Maritime Organization Convention, the Manila Convention in the Philippines in 2010, there is now a new position created on board ships called the Electrotechnical Officer.
Okay.
They have now recognized that the traditional mechanical engineer cannot now perform the function. So as a result of this new high-level position, they are paying $7,000 upwards US dollars per month, up to $14,000 plus. So it's a nice niche market that we have found, and we have now, producing people for this niche market sector. And equally, the traditional maritime sector has now evolved, because goods are now moving in an intermodal way, in a connected way. So goods will start by sea, it will start by land, may go by rail, then may go by ship, and some of it may connect by air. So it's about that intermodal transport industry. So our training has followed that path. So we have created new opportunities outside of just the maritime sector. But yes, there's still a shortage of high-level maritime officers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how important are the roles of those staff who don't actually come into direct contact with cargo and cargo handling?
Yes.
And I think you talk about you're now training specialist lawyers,
Yes, in a lot of different areas, logisticians, people to work in that whole global supply chain industry, which the seafarers form a small part of that total.
But you still train those?
Yes, very importantly.
Since your formation, what do you think has made your institute so successful when so many others have failed?
Yes, well, in fact, we have been on an interesting journey. We have been through 4 name changes. Just 2 months ago, the Parliament and the Senate have approved our university bill, the Caribbean Maritime University. So that will be called in another few months. So this is our 4th name change and a whole structure change. In the past 10 years, we have grown by over 1,260% in student numbers. And equally, our courses have grown by over 3,000% the number of offerings. So we are the fastest growing tertiary institution, not just in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean. So we are very pleased of that. In fact, we enjoy the highest placement rate of graduates into jobs after graduation. The last tracer study we did 2 years ago showed that 89% of our graduates are placed in jobs or enrolled in other higher programs of study within 6 months after graduation. But it's quite simple. I mean, our formula is that we stick close to the industry. We find where the needs are, then we create the programs to match them. That's simple.
Well, it sounds superb. What achievement of the Caribbean Maritime Institute stands out in your memory? What makes you proudest?
Well, in fact, this whole transition to a university will be the second national university. And it was a struggle for the last 10 years where many people told us it was not possible. So this is one of the proudest moments. But again, to see the whole transformation of young lives, where we have also reached out to youth at risk and seeing the transformation in many areas to connect them with jobs, not just at the base level, but into high-level paying jobs. So I'm very pleased of that.
Wow, very proud of that, I would hope. How do you see the challenges to your industry for the future?
Well, I see we have many challenges, but I see them as opportunities. One of them, the main one, have to do with the whole internationalization of the university. Now we have students from all continents of the world, so we used to be a net importer of high-level training. We want to be an exporter in that field. So we're not afraid to take on that market. Now the transition to the whole online, open education, that's another area that we're transitioning into. I see us in the future shifting more towards STEM education, us offering more engineering-based degrees, because that is where the future lies. So it's about listening to the market and changing what the market needs. But the market is shifting so rapidly, so we have to remain an agile institution. And that much we are having coming to the market as a new university. We don't have baggage of the past, so we can move nimbly in that space.
You've got a blank sheet to write on.
Yes, indeed.
How important is the issue of protecting the maritime environment to you?
Very important, because especially in the Caribbean, the largest industry is tourism. And in fact, according to the World Tourism Organization most recent study, we're the most tourism dependent region in the world. And yet, the very ocean that we depend on for our livelihood is being destroyed. In Jamaica, 95% of our coral reef is dead. So it's so in fact, one of the projects that I'm spearheading right now, we have linked with a New York-based institution called the Billion Oyster Project. So we want to start replanting oysters in the Kingston Harbor. So I'm setting up a foundation now to do this. And it's about reoxygenating the water. The Kingston Harbor is the 7th largest natural harbor in the world. It is worth protecting. So the marine environment is of paramount importance.
I'm delighted to hear that, because as we said earlier, I was in your sea only 2 months ago. Well, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to me today. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear about what you're doing, and I wish you every success for the future. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Pinnock.
Great
It's
job.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.